Leah,
Here.
Amira,
Here.
Sophie,
Here.
Charmaine,
Here.
Sinmi,
Here.
Andrew,
I'm here.
Alex, here, Rafa,
Here.
Nina,
Here.
Shivan,
Here.
Ishika,
Here.
Semyam,
Here.
Stanley,
Here.
Khalil,
Here.
Emily, Solon,
Here.
Eddie. Okay, Elena.
Yeah.
Thais,
Here.
and you said Cecilia is not coming until now. Cecilia, okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Perfect. Julia, are you ready? For what? Speaker. Secretary has to make a speech, like just to like give like a brief introduction about your position, and then people have like 10 minutes to ask you questions. Yeah, sure.
Hi, everyone. As the former secretary, I'm supposed to give a speech about being secretary. So you are one of the 5 exec members. You are you take the minutes for every meeting, including GBM, including cabinet meetings, internal and external meetings with administrators, and also exec. You run the airport shuttles program. I guess a little background on that. Previously, not been funded by the UA, but since it is now funded by the UA, you'll have an easier time, getting that together. So you do the promotion for that. We have a comms team now, so it'll be helpful in doing that. And then you make sure everyone does their shifts and work with business services to make sure that runs smoothly. You sit on the NEC and Penn Labs. You sit on like NEC, not really advisory board, but you sit in on the meetings, and then Penn Labs advisory board. I'm trying to think. Oh, you do the mid-year and end of session reports. And you use through the website, do not do that anymore. And that is about it. You're a member of exec. Yeah. Pretty straightforward. Anyone have any questions? Sorry. Great.
Okay, perfect. We're not gonna open the floor for nominations. Yes. What's your name? Alex, okay, perfect. Any other nominations?
I nominate Sophie Ribley.
Oh, I accept.
Okay.
And I nominate Charlie.
I accept.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, I'm gonna get this down. Okay, so just Alex, Sophie, Charmaine, is that it? Okay, perfect. Okay. We're gonna start with speeches. We're gonna start with Alex, and then Sophie and Charmaine, you guys can step out. You'll have 4 minutes, and then after each of you guys give your speeches, we're gonna be doing the Q&A session, 20 minutes for UA, 20 minutes for general public. Answer time will be 1 minute.
Also, real quick, Yaru is on the phone and I put him on the podium, so if I go to fix it, like nothing's but I'm just like. He's on his plane right now.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Cervantes, and it is my privilege to be in front of everybody today through my candidacy to be your 54th session secretary. You may be wondering who I am, and to that answer, I'll say that I am someone who takes initiative. I identify issues and find ways to solve them. I enter a room never being the smartest because there is always an opportunity to learn. So I'll show you this in practice. As I've expressed my interest in becoming secretary, the question of why keeps being asked. The answer is simple. I am a first generation gay Mexican American at Penn. I am fueled by becoming the representation I first sought after and that Penn lacks. Be the change you want to see is a sentiment we've all heard before, and that's exactly what I'm doing here today and through the UA. The undergraduate assembly has 5 pillars: lobbying, representing, togetherness, servicing, and funding, but I'd like to focus on the servicing branch. Through the Equity and Inclusion Committee, I have focused on accessibility through projects like the UA Directory, where I have organized terminology to bridge the gap between education and empowering internal UA voices. I believe the secretary role is special in its accessibility to both the body and the undergraduate assembly. I have had the honor of learning from past secretaries, and I will continue the precedent set forth into the 54th session. I'll achieve this by first reintroducing airport shuttle committees in order to allow more members to gain more experience, while also emphasizing that the success of airport shuttles is not dependent on just one person. Secondly, I'll work with the speaker on internal financing for airport shuttles and aid, and on expanding the current and alumni UA directory to foster mentorship, airport shuttle funding, and organization. Working alongside Musab on the club sports and performing arts resolution has made me self-reflect and curious. As secretary, I must be organized and accountable. But how will I do this, you might ask? The answer is that I plan on creating long-standing systems through creating project surveying and resolution templates to continue my commitment to onboarding new and old members. Furthermore, I plan to reorganize the Google Drive, creating separate folders for resolutions, and reinstating mid and end of year session reports to hold ourselves accountable to the student body. These documents do not have to be complicated, and I will preemptively create a template to add on to throughout the session in order to prioritize deadlines. And I've already demonstrated that level of commitment. In the fall, as an AM, I performed the requirements outlined in the bylaws for elected members because I was dedicated to learning from both UA and steering GBMs. Moreover, I have demonstrated my capabilities by taking meeting minutes at UA steering and admin meetings for exec. For example, in one meeting, I was able to type 3,000 words in 30 minutes. I am a secretary who will step up. For example, this previous session, our website coordinator stepped down, so I stepped up. For seeking out another opportunity to make the UA more accessible and presentable. Working alongside Taya, I am now working to update the UA website in time for the next session, a job usually designated to the acting secretary that I am spearheading. The role of secretary has been static thus far, but I hope to change that. I plan to dedicate my Sundays to being available for any issues that may arise, and I will prioritize strong communication by responding quickly and consistently. I will also arrive at every GBM 20 minutes early so I can ensure that taking attendance is as smooth as possible, while also emphasizing fairness and accountability. Lastly, I'd like to emphasize that every opportunity I have had thus far has come because I have sought them out, never because they were handed to me. So whether it's being all in for Alex or Action Alex, I will continue to foster a UA prioritized on accessibility, accountability, and transparency. Thank you.
Audio timer.
Yeah. Okay.
You wanna be able to look at the timer?
Oh, sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
my phone to look.
Thank you.
Just when you're ready.
Oh, okay. I'm ready now. Hi, everyone. For those of you I haven't worked with yet, I'm Sophie. I served as a new student rep this year and was on the academics committee where I worked on double counting courses in PAP at Penn, an AI resource toolkit with a group of my committee, and study space expansion with CES. I've been reflecting a lot on my freshman year recently as it comes to a very quick close. And I came into Penn the way I think a lot of us do. I joined way too many clubs. I tried to explore a lot of different spaces and figure out where I actually want to invest my time and energy in the years moving forward here. And what stood out to me about the UA was that it wasn't just another club. It was one of the few spaces where the work we do has a tangible impact on student life. It's a place where people are thinking beyond themselves, not just talking about problems, but actively trying to shape what Penn can look like, and at a place that can feel super pre-professional and individualistic. That kind of shared investment in the community has really made mattered a lot to me this year. And that's why I want to take a more active role in exec. I'm running for secretary because I care about how the body functions both structurally and culturally, and I think I can help strengthen both in a couple different ways. First, on the core responsibilities of the secretary role, minutes, attendance, and admin meetings. For minutes, I want to prioritize clarity and accessibility. Not everyone can attend every meeting, and not everyone is in exec or cap spaces, but they shouldn't feel out of the loop because of that. I want to make sure notes are detailed, organized, and useful, so anyone can walk away with the same understanding as if they were in that room. Those minutes would also be organized in the drive and emailed in advance, so they're really accessible to everybody. This kind of transparency builds trust and also helps committees move their work forward more effectively when they know it's already been discussed with admin. On attendance, I'll uphold policies consistently and fairly, communicating attendance issues with advance notice. It's obviously not the most glamorous part of the role, but it's essential for accountability and making sure we all show up for each other. And going into admin meetings, I'll actively gather input from across the body beforehand, just having conversations with you guys, so that I'm representing what we collectively care about, not just the few voices that are actually in the room. The second thing is airport shuttles. Now that we're fully funding them ourselves, it's really critical that we demonstrate their value to the school, and that starts with increasing ticket sales. That was a big point of contention for us during the budget process. I believe that partnering with NSO to introduce shuttles during orientation is a straightforward way to build really early awareness of the UA and normalize them as a go-to option for students. Additionally, surveying students in advance about when and where shuttles would be most effective would ensure we service as many people as possible each semester. I also want to collaborate with groups like Penn Green to position shuttles as a more sustainable transportation choice, and continue working closely with the comms committee to maintain the strong, hilarious marketing we all saw on the DP and Instagram. At the same time, I want to work with business services to understand cost structures in advance and ensure we're being charged appropriately, so we're making informed decisions early on. Ideally, increased shuttle revenue can also support social funding for the UA, which we really need at a time like this. Third, and most importantly to me, community building and new member integration. I remember walking into my first GBM and feeling totally overwhelmed. It took time before I felt comfortable speaking up and like I knew enough, and I really don't think it has to be that way. I'd like to organize an early semester onboarding session with just the newly elected and associate members and exec, where exec walks through how the UA works, our structure, committees, projects, how we interact with admin, so new members have the context they need to participate confidently from the start, and also get a chance to just socialize with each other before they're, thrown into the body. I also want to implement a mentorship system like Gustav has proposed, where each new member is paired with an upperclassman who reaches out before their first GBM. Something as simple as a message or coffee can make a huge difference in how welcome someone feels. And by getting all of us involved in that, it increases our overall accountability across committees and classes to one another, and making sure the UA is a welcoming place. Beyond that, just continuing to invest in internal culture through socials, relationship building, and making this a space people genuinely want to be in every Sunday. At the end of the day, I care about making the UA both more effective and more connected. I've seen firsthand how much stronger this body is when those two things go hand in hand. I'd really appreciate the opportunity to build that as your secretary, and thank you so much.
Well, no, you can just yeah, it's fine. Thank you. I'm not ready. Yeah. My name is Charmaine Chidukfa, and I'm so grateful to be here to talk to you all about why I want to be your next secretary. Coming to Penn, I was lost and I needed normalcy. Normalcy for me is representing and serving my peers, and the UA has given me that and so much more. As secretary, I hope to help better serve my peers by expanding on underclassmen involvement, improving club social accessibility, increasing external connections, and accountability within my role. I'm sure many of us have heard that the freshmen have been very involved this year. I myself have attended almost every meeting and have worked across 2 semesters on getting a 24/7 study space. When this project stalled due to waiting for administration data, I joined the FIGLY Career Mentorship Project, showing my commitment to maintaining active involvement. I wish to hold an open forum in the fall for all new members to gain insights and ask questions. I want to emphasize they can meet with upperclassmen who are writing their resolutions, learning how to write one themselves. This forum will help them to understand how they can fully contribute to their roles. I will reach out individually to each new member from the beginning of the semester to ensure that they know I'm always accessible. Along with new members, I will attend each committee semesterly so I understand the projects and committee members before writing the mid and end of session reports. Secondly, I wish to use alumni databases to help fund social events. The first thing I thought of when I saw we had to cut social funding was that students who have to request financial aid would now be denied the full experience of their activities. Mo has already been working on getting a UA database, and I will collaborate with him to ensure we have updated emails as well as the outreach. As administrative program assistant of Penn Rising Scholar Success Academy, I have built and maintained a 1,400 person alumni database as well as done outreach, so I'm well equipped for these tasks. Another focus of mine will be working with comms to mend external outlets of the UA by emphasizing that our meetings are always open and that projects and a suggestion form are easily accessible on our website. I wish to build personal relationships with club leaders, including the 7B and minority groups, from the beginning of the school year, so I have a stronger understanding of their needs as I advocate for them. For airport shuttles, I would like to collaborate with Drexel Student Government to see if their students would be interested in our service. I would also like to partner with local businesses to incentivize Penn students to ride, such as a Kiwi or Allegro's discount for selling a ticket. I will also continue showing business services our usership to attempt to bring back some funding. I also wish to use the new student representatives as freshman liaisons in the dorms, using posters as well as personal contacts to advertise for our shuttles. The secretary, through accurate and comprehensive minutes and minute end of session reports, is uniquely important in certifying that people can access UA discussions and project updates. So I will use an automatic note-taking tool to take its notes alongside me, fact-checking my own typed notes. However, I resolve to be more than just a passive note-taker. I remain dedicated to advocating for the voices that I represent by contributing, asking questions, and pushing for ideas in administrative meetings. From what I've observed in my first year here is that many Penn students feel that Penn can never change. They're scared of being proven right or think it's not worth the effort, so they settle. I want Penn students to dare to dream of something more. As UA secretary, I know I can help the UA continue to expand its work, as well as ensure that students feel and know that there are people advocating for them, as we all do. Thank you. It wasn't good. Oh no.
Okay, we're now gonna go into the question and answer time from the UA. We're gonna have 20 minutes. Just raise your hands if you have questions. I'll point at you guys. We're gonna go from Alex to Sophie, then Charmaine, and then it'll alternate. You guys have a minute. Alex, for the first question, you'll have 30 seconds to respond after Charmaine answers. So I'm about to start right now. Any questions? Sonia?
Great speeches, everyone. My question is, I think last time Naya mentioned that majority of the people who signed up for airport shuttles, they sign up after you send their all school emails. Which means that, you know, comms, all the marketing stuff was great, it was entertaining. But it wasn't as effective as maybe we thought it would be, or it should be. Given that, I know some of y'all mentioned continuing comms marketing, which we should do. But despite that, and I think Charmaine had a great point with Drexel, what other ways of marketing the airport shuttles do you think will be effective for next year? Besides comms?
I think like it works in tangent with communications a lot. I think also something that was like lacking this semester was that we have to work ahead of schedule. I don't think we can send them out like the week before. I think we need to work ahead of schedule. And I think working with the other exec members, like we saw with Naya, was very successful when she sent out the all school email. So I think that is something that should be emphasized as well, utilizing like our resources. And yeah, I think like beyond just communications, like I think you just have to like make sure to also like establish like community outside of the UA with other organizations and hoping that they're able to spread the word, and also increasing transparency about what the airport shuttles are, like maybe with DP also as well. Because I think a lot of confusion this year was what exactly does airport shuttles do? We saw that was highlighted during budget, and I think it's something that we can be more transparent with the student body as well, because they don't completely understand what it is. And I think if we really emphasize the fact that this is something that is supposed to help students, it's something that can be growing and not have such a negative stigma that we saw this year.
Yes.
Something I am really passionate about working on is making sure that we survey students at least like a month in advance about when and where shuttles should occur. I think that just logistically will make the most sense in like being able to sell a lot of tickets to more people. And then also that'll get people thinking about shuttles a little earlier on in the semester. I think another thing is sustainability. I've heard a lot of issues with people thinking that, you know, taking the SEPTA is already a sustainable option and it perhaps costs less. But I think if we shift the focus a little bit to the fact that most people are probably Ubering to the airport, and that is definitely, you know, less sustainable than taking a shuttle. I think marketing it that way would be a little bit more effective. So working with, I had mentioned Penn Green, like pre-orientation, but also just other environmental and sustainable groups across campus. Another thing that I agree with that Alex mentioned is just working with other clubs that we have. I know we try and do targeted outreach, like everyone personally is supposed to, you know, reach out to organizations they're in, but if as a secretary, just working on generally establishing relationships with other clubs.
Yeah, I think a really important demographic is the freshmen, because I think that a lot of times upperclassmen can get stuck in their ways. And so I think it's really important to focus on getting the freshmen to believe that most people are using the airport shuttles, or to like start that trend. So I think especially I would love to work with Finns in including that in their tours, to mention that we have airport shuttles. And then I also, like I talked about, working with Drexel, because we have collaborated with Drexel Student Government in the past. And so continuing with that, and also seeing if their students have a service like this and if they would like to use our service because they are so close. And then I think also we saw, even with election season, there was people using like Kiwi discounts to gain votes, as well as other businesses. So I would definitely like to use that as well to incentivize people. Like I talked about in my speech, I would like to have, like, if you sell a ticket, then you can get a discount for a place, because I think that that's a very effective way to get people to use the service and then also give it.
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. And then I'd like to agree with both Sophie and Charmaine. I think targeting the freshmen is something that's very like we need to do, because I think I myself as a freshman at first didn't know how to navigate public transportation. So I think it's a point of accessibility. And I also think continuing the transparency, maybe having like infographics that show like the CO2 emissions that are like the comparison of taking an Uber and like public transportation, showing that we are like a UA that is focusing on sustainability as well.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so I'm hearing a lot about sustainability, and one of the big issues in my conversations with a lot of Penn Transit advocates is that the airport shuttles are taking away from people using SEPTA, which actually, you know, is like I see as a sustainability initiative, in that you're using public transit and it uses like less, you know, like diesel, you know, like it leaves less of a carbon footprint than using the airport shuttle. So I was wondering, what are y'all's stances on the airport shuttles and SEPTA in that regard? Like, how would you explain like to those transit advocates that using the airport shuttles is also an sustainable option?
Sure. I do think that's a really good argument, and I did remember hearing a lot about that during the budget season. A lot of people were confused, like, what is it with Penn students? Why can't they just, you know, take the SEPTA? But I think it's very important as a UA, like this is one of the main services that we provide to students. And another thing that I think, I don't know how we would, you know, explicitly say this, but does go back into the UA, and that influences our ability to carry out other projects that impact student life. So just talking about that and framing it in a way where it's like you're contributing to Penn student government and your undergraduate experience beyond just the shuttles. And then in terms of sustainability, I like Alex's idea of creating some sort of infographic. I think we probably haven't done enough research, honestly, about what specifically the emissions look like compared to SEPTA or Uber. So that's something I would definitely, love to take on.
Yeah, I definitely think for that argument, I think that we have to look at the way that Penn is functioning now. Like, obviously, in an ideal world, we would want to have most Penn students being comfortable taking SEPTA, but the reality is that most aren't. So I think we have to start from where we are and work our way up. I think that the airport shuttles are a better solution than most people taking Ubers, because I think if we were to survey, most students are taking Ubers. And so the airport shuttles are more sustainable in that regard. I really like the infographic idea as well. But yeah, I definitely see how that is an important concern, but I think we also have to look at it from a realistic standpoint and also from a progression standpoint.
I'd like to say that I agree with both Charmaine and Sophie. I think they covered great points. I think it is like reframing this question and seeing the privilege that the people at Penn have. I think it's like understanding the students and knowing that. I think like a great idea that they keep stating is surveying. I think if we look at the numbers, I obviously don't have them, but I think if we really sit and think about who the type of people that go to Penn, I think it's seeing that a lot of them are privileged enough to take the Ubers who are trying to take again the commute to like the Penn Transit Station. These SEPTAs are like commuting from different areas. I think being able to emphasize the accessibility of these like airport shuttles and also the affordability, it's around like almost the same price as like taking like the SEPTA. And I think it's also emphasizing that that's like something that they should be doing, because I think like most people here at Penn are lazy. Like I think they're not gonna want to walk like to the public transportation stations either. So I think just reframing it again is like a really good point. And thank you.
Yeah, I definitely agree both of your statements. I think, yeah, we have to meet people where they're at. And I do think we could, frame it in a way where it's like building up someone's confidence with taking public transportation. Like it's definitely an intermediary between, taking an Uber, walking, taking the SEPTA. So I think if we can frame it in a way where like we're exposing students to like what that looks like, and then also exposing them to what other services Penn Transit offers. Like I know there are shuttles other times of the day and like private rides and things like that people don't really know about. So sort of creating educational
That's
information
nice.
to go along with it.
Is there any other questions? Shika?
Yeah, wonderful speeches. I just wanted to share that like I personally noticed like a lot of inaccuracies in the meeting minutes for the 53rd session that negatively influenced my ability to carry out like these committee work projects in DHC. So I was wondering like one, how you will ensure that these like meeting minutes are accurate, and two, like how will you ensure equitable?
Yeah.
I think for meeting minutes, I think that in a way to modernize the UA, I do think that we should be using a like automatic note-taking tool, because I know a lot of people use them in classes already. And so I feel like just using it to fact check the notes that are already being taken, you can just ensure that what's being taken is accurate, not as a like, oh, now I'm just gonna be sitting here doing nothing, but as a like, I can now go back and make sure that everything that I said is also what was picked up on. And then also for equitable attendance, I think that's just like being equitable. Like I feel like it's just making sure that when a threshold is met, that's addressed. I don't really think that there's any other way to handle that besides just making sure that everyone, no matter what happens when the threshold is met, they're notified.
Sorry, Alex.
Thank you. On the topic of equitability, I think it's being able to designate between like interpersonal relationships and professionalism within the UA. So I think like as secretary, you have to be unbiased regardless of like your relationship outside of the UA. So if a threshold is met, like Charmaine said, that person will be warned like a week in advance, and then they have to decide like on their actions of whether they want to contest it, if they're going to show up to the next meeting. And from there, like if you are unable to adhere to the bylaws of what the UA says that you have to be attending these meetings for, either committee, steering, or UA, I think it's just following by the book. Like you have to be unbiased in these situations, regardless of your interpersonal relationships. And on the topic of like meeting minutes, I briefly mentioned this in my speech, but like a fun fact is that I have like an almost 100-minute per word typing speed. So it's something that I'm able to like keep up with a lot of people, and like also with previous experiences, like being able to take these meeting minutes. It's like other people may look at it like as a task, but for me, it's like low-key like a hobby. Like I really like typing, so it's something that I really look forward to doing.
Similarly to Alex, my job here at Penn is archiving digital ads. So I like watch videos and like quickly write down what they say. So I like to think I'm a fast typer, but outside of that, just making sure as we go, asking clarifying questions as people are talking. I feel like it can get really lost and really bogged down if you're behind, but just making sure to take the time to stop and clarify so that people do have that accurate information. Obviously super important. And I would probably establish some sort of like accountability partner in the UA to like make sure if anything's wrong or if they notice anything, like have someone else's eyes to look over things with me before I send it out to the body. And then in terms of attendance, obviously like I love you guys, but like, if you're not coming, you're not coming, and that's an issue, and that has to be addressed. So just making sure that it's, you know, communicated early so people know that they have to come to meetings. It's not like at the end of the semester, like, shoot, there's only 2 left and you need 2 more meetings and you can't come. Like, that's obviously an issue. Just making sure you communicate it. In terms of equity, I think we also had a big issue with like health and sickness absences, and how we were gonna approach
Time.
that. So,
Sorry.
no, it's okay.
I feel like an asshole. I'm sure you have 30 seconds.
Yeah, so last year, in my high school, I was the vice president of the school, so I was often in meetings with administration pretty much weekly. And so through those meetings, like when I was going to write policy reforms, I had to take notes throughout those meetings to make sure that I was making sure that I got everything that those administrators were saying, and also the questions that were asked, and also the responses that were given. So I also have experience in that regard. And also in my role as with Penn Brissa,
Any other questions from UA, Rafa?
So I have a question on behalf of Yadu, actually. How will you innovate the role of secretary above and beyond the previous precedents of secretary duties and add your own element which future secretaries could follow? Wow, okay.
Alex, something that I will say, I guess, like not reinventing, but like reinstating, like I said, the mid and end of year session reports. I think it's like the work of the UA is to be accountable to the student body. And I think that this mid and end of year session report doesn't have to be like a boring 100-page document. I think it can be reworked to be almost like a Canva template where people can see like pictures and photos of like the projects that everyone has been working on, and making sure that everyone's like current project they're working on is designated to the actual person who's working on it, because I know that has been an issue in the past where the internal housekeeping has been incorrect. I think also just like continuing the accessibility that the previous secretaries, both Julia and I, have shown me, is that like I think secretaries' role is special and how accessible it is to the general body is the lowest role in exec, but I think it's also wonderful to create these new established like connections with these incoming freshmen. And it's something that I think I've shown through the work that I've been doing in the UA, is that I want to continue that and to foster that community. I want to continue onboarding these new members, whether it's
Something I talked about in my speech is like, I'm really passionate about new member integration as a freshman, and having just gone through that experience. I think we do have our UA Education Week, but it's interesting to me that it comes 3 weeks into the session when you've already been at GBMs and could have, you know, said more. So I definitely want to instate that, you know, pre-orientation with just new elected and appointed members and exec. I think that would be really helpful for people to feel confident speaking up in meetings. And also, as I said, like just giving the freshmen a chance to build community within each other before you're like, you know, siphoned off into your committees. Like, I think that would be helpful. And then in terms of the mid and end of year session report, that's something that I think we definitely need to rebuild. And I'm really passionate about like data visualization and things like that. So I think it would be really cool to create like interactive sort of charts on there with any survey data that we have. I feel like sometimes we lack the data side of things in our projects. It seems more just like personal passion projects. So just really emphasizing that visually, I think would make a big difference in how people perceive that.
Yeah, something I also talked about in my speech is that I definitely want to hold an open forum for the freshmen in the beginning of the fall. Just because I feel like coming in as a freshman, you're unsure of how much you are expected to or can contribute into your role. And so I want to make sure that freshmen know that they, like, coming in, they should feel comfortable asking questions and pushing for ideas in GBM, like from the first moment that they're here. And I also think with resolutions, that's kind of seen as something that is like, I feel like freshmen don't really feel so comfortable doing it. So I really want to ensure that they know that they can start thinking about what they would write on, and also that they know how to write on it. And then I also, for in the session report, I also agree. I think that also goes back to our website, because I think I want to make sure that students are aware that that is available. And I also want to make sure that they're aware that it's readable and that it's attainable. Because, and also with the project updates, I think that's something that's really important to keep updated on our page, so that at any point in time during the year, people are wondering what the UA is doing, they can see.
And then Alex, you got 30 seconds.
And then in the Google Drive, I know we have an internal folder, and in there I'd like to have like a directory for the current projects that we're working on, as well as the people who are working on it. And I also want to update that, which I'm working with Taya on the website right now, for the next incoming session, so freshmen are able to reach out to these people, because I don't want misinformation to reach out to someone who's not even the UA anymore. sorry, I'm talking really fast, but yeah, and it's something that I've already emphasized through like the UA directory project, which I already passed, really like emphasizing that I want these new freshmen to feel comfortable. And also maybe implementing our own diversity retreat after election season.
Any other questions? Yes, Khalil.
My question is more about projecting on next year. Let me say it, AI has a lot of, can do a lot of role that secretary students. So how will you leverage AI to make secretaries work more efficient and more higher quality than we used to?
I think as Charmaine mentioned, like AI is a really helpful tool, but obviously like we're a student governance branch. And if we have like AI just taking our notes completely on our meetings, that takes away from like our discourse and our conversation, like the active reactions that the member of exec is having to what's going on. So I think like having like an AI like auto notes, like those sort of tools keep up with the meeting as well, like via Zoom, and then taking those notes and cross-checking what you have would be good. And then seeing, you know, if you miss anything, you put in what AI has output. But I think, you know, we shouldn't be taking away from the role and the human element.
Yeah, I think also a really important part of the secretary's role is interpersonal connections. So I feel like that's something that AI could never be able to take. And I think also if you use AI to like, say for example, like with the project updates or stuff like that, then I feel like it takes away the voice from the people who worked on it. So like I said earlier, I definitely think it can be very useful in helping to fact check meeting notes, because I know that's something that was very important for people this year. But I don't think that it should be used as like a project or as like the main tool that's doing most of the work. I think it should just be a helpful tool.
I think that this is a twofold question. I think there's both a pro and a con to this. I think for the pros is that you can efficiently streamline like a heavy task for the secretary role, which could designate more time for other roles that the secretary has to take on. But I also think that the con is that I think AI is not perfect. Like if anyone's used Google Translate, like it doesn't pick up everything that everyone is saying. And I think I'm confident enough in my capabilities of like taking meeting minutes that I know that I am able to fulfill the role to its efficient like success that it needs to be. But if it is something that I bring to the body and to exec and that everyone wants to test out, I think a way to piloting this would be having two computers open, one where someone takes the meeting minutes and then the other where the AI takes it. And like Sophie said, cross-referencing it. But again, I think emphasizing that this is a decision that would be beyond just myself, and it would be something that I would designate to both you guys and exec to see if it's something that they would want to implement. But again, I am confident enough in my own capabilities to know that I could be a successful secretary without having to use AI in this role. Thank you.
Sophie.
I agree with Alex. I also think something to note is, especially in admin meetings, I can see this definitely being an issue. Like if they go in and see inaccurately reported information and like the AI tag can be like, what are these students, you know, even doing? Like, why are they here? So I think that's really important. And as Charmaine mentioned, the interpersonal element of the role is the most important thing. And you don't want to take away from the human voice like that. As the secretary is a big part of your role, like being able to interpret what everyone's saying. And when you're working on projects, like having people be able to share their opinions and their own way they see fit.
Okay, we're at 20 minutes, so I'm gonna go to like general public. And if people from the UA have more questions after, I'll probably proceed with that. Does anybody from the general public have any questions? Okay, now we can go back to UA. Naya?
So obviously many people in this room are highly involved in other things aside from the UA. The nature of the role requires you to have a lot of timely, consistent follow through and be pretty great at communication. Say you are involved in something else and other just competing priorities of other organizations are kind of battling for your time as secretary and your ability to communicate effectively. How would you guys navigate that?
Yes.
I'd like to answer that question by saying like I think it's like known to everybody that like my first and only club was the UA, and like right now I'm currently not even active in like any other club, so I don't think it would be an issue at all. I will also say that like the exponential growth that I think I've shown and that all the other members on here as well have shown is that we are all willing to prioritize the UA. I've shown this through like, I'm just very ambitious. Like the opportunities that I have gained is because I have either sought them out. I have reached out to people like Taya, I have reached out to Naya, I have reached out to Musa. I have said, I want to get on this. I want to get on this project. I want to get on this resolution. I want to do this. And I always bring it up to either Pierce as well in my EI committee projects. Like, I want to pursue this project. How can I do this? So I don't think it's a question of whether I am able to prioritize the UA. I think it's already been shown through the work that I'm doing and that I will continue to do as secretary if I am.
Yeah, I think I don't wanna obviously commit myself to anything I can't, give my full time and commitment to, and I've already thought that through a lot, and that's why, I'm here running for the role today. I think this year, obviously, I had a lot of different things going on as a freshman, but that never stopped me from giving my all to the UA. I worked on projects all the time. I wrote about the UA and the DP. I was really involved in the budget season and just like always being here at the meetings, being present, talking to people, building relationships. It's so, so, so important. And in terms of the secretary, obviously, there's a lot of communication, a lot of sending emails, being able to help out with airport shuttles when things go wrong, being able to like pick up Slack and exec if someone else has something going on personally or whatever that is. And I think I'm a very responsive person. I am always on my phone. Like I'm very willing and able to communicate and be there for the people I care about. And I would be happy to do that for this organization as well.
Yeah, I actually think that having multiple things that you're involved in shows, and being able to be present in all of those things shows how I would be able to contribute to this role fully. I work 2 jobs currently, and I'm also in 2 other clubs, but I still feel that I have shown up completely myself and contributed to the UA wholly. I also feel that in terms of communication, I'm very adamant that I don't like when something's done to me. So for like in terms of doing tasks, I would hate for someone else to have to do tasks for me, or for someone else to feel like I'm not pulling my weight, because I hate when that's done to me. So that's something that I'm very adamant on. I'm also very adamant on communication. Like if someone feels that I'm not contributing, I would hope that someone would be able to come to me and say that. And I also hope that there would be an open line of communication between myself, exec and cab, that I feel that if that was happening with someone else, that I could also go to them.
And then re-emphasizing the fact that like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie that I don't touch my phone at least like once in like 1 hour. So I think it's like very easy to do. Like, I think regardless of your messaging me on Slack, an email or text message, I think I'm gonna be a very transparent and accessible secretary, as I've covered before. And it's something that I'm going to continue to do because it is like literally part of the role as secretary. Like, you are the most successful. You have to be able to communicate effectively, especially during airport shuttle season. And I think it's something that I will work on and I will continue to do because I do so.
Any other questions?
I'm sorry, I was supposed to get you earlier. I'm so sorry.
I feel like a huge part of being secretary is just being on exec in general. How do you guys plan to add to exec? And also, how do you plan to bridge the gap between exec and the general?
Sophie.
Okay, yeah, I think that was something I definitely noticed as a freshman. We're in the pit in Huntsman, and it feels like it's always like exec here, and then the freshmen kind of like fill in the upper corners. And I definitely want to focus on just like spatially, like making sure. I think it would be great to have assigned seating for at least the first couple meetings, so people are meeting different people and it's not like exec and everyone else. Also, I talked about establishing those coffee chats and making sure that that's not just exec, but like every upperclassman in the body is partnered with someone, just so that we know we like increase our overall accountability to one another. And then in terms of just like being on exec, I think, you take the meetings, it's a lot of work, but you're doing that to get the opportunity to be in these meetings with administrators. I feel like this year I did have a lot of experience getting to work with like vice provost for university life and education on my like study space project. And I had a really great opportunity to just really learn a lot from the administrators. Like, they know their stuff and they know what is possible and what's not. So just being in those spaces would help me communicate to the body, like how to go about projects.
Sorry, what was the question again?
How do you plan to bridge the gap between exec and the body? And also, how do you plan to add to exec?
Yeah, I think in terms of bridging the gap, I would definitely say the open forum in the fall, especially for the underclassmen, just so they can see exec in a more like casual way versus just in GBMs. And I also would love to do Big Little for the UA. I'm in a sorority and I have a big, and I've loved having that, so I definitely love to see that for the UA. Just because it gives you a one-on-one connection with someone and also allows you to make a new friend. In terms of exec, I definitely feel that, like Sophie said, like it's very important to be in the meetings with administration, just because I feel like that's the crux of what UA does. I think what UA does is try to get our project in front of exec and try to push for ideas. And so I feel like that is something that I would definitely add is being able to advocate for people directly to administrators and advocate for projects directly in front of them, as well as being able to ask the questions that the body wants and then also present it to the body in an accessible way.
Okay, and then I'll cover again what I said in my speech, but creating like continuing and expanding the UA directory of like current members and the UA alumni, and then also like Charmaine said, creating like big and littles, and also like something that another organization does is having like a page of people with like descriptions and like having like a matching thing to have them. So maybe matching people based on like similarities of like personality or character traits. I also would say that like if I am elected, like I think I've shown my characteristics and my personality to everyone here, and I think I've made it clear that like I think of everybody here as like family, and like nothing will change if I am elected in this role of secretary. It's not like something that is going to boost my ego. It's just continuing the precedent set forth by all the members of exec who have shown me the kind and caring persons that they are, and it's something that I want to carry over for the new session, for the new incoming freshmen. I want to show them my personality. I'm not just someone who is serious. I can compartmentalize. I can do my role, and I can also be someone who is accessible and a friend. Like I'm not going to become a different person when I'm elected in this role. I'm going to continue being friends with everyone, and I'm going to continue showing that kindness and warmth that I was shown to the new incoming freshmen. Thank you.
Yeah, I think as a secretary, you know, if this isn't necessarily like a requirement of the role, but it does oftentimes end up being a sophomore, and you're in a unique place where you're like closest to the freshmen, you just went through your freshman year, had all those experiences. So yeah, building relationships with all the freshmen is really important. I definitely also want to establish that sort of mentorship system that I talked about. I know Kustov has been pushing for that for a really long time, so it'd be really cool to implement that and make sure, yeah, that we're all involved. And then, yeah, as I talked about with admin, making sure, I like how at the end of this session, we started implementing that Google form pretty often, so continuing to search for questions.
Julia?
Yeah, secretary, you're part of on exec. I think I wanted to ask, one, why are you passionate about the UA, and why do you want to be secretary specifically, not committee director, not social chair? Like, why do you want to be secretary?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm passionate about the UA because I think that higher education in general has the ability to move people out of social classes. It has the ability to move people out of poverty. And so I'm very passionate about, especially because Penn often recruits lower income or middle income students, making sure that everyone has an accessible experience here. And that goes beyond just paying for tuition or paying for housing. It's the way that people are able to experience Penn, and I think that that is through the projects that we do. Like take for example, mental health day. Like that's something that everyone should be able to experience like fully. And also, for example, if you take like, I know people for years have been working on like getting subsidized SEPTA passes for Penn students. Like if you're higher income, then you can just take an Uber or whatever, but the projects that we work on help people to experience Penn all the same way and to have the most equitable experience. And as for the role of secretary itself, I think that
Wait, sorry. Can we split the question into two so that they can like actually answer? Like, can it be two separate questions?
Two separate questions?
Yeah, like why you want to be on the UA, so that they just have time to answer.
Can you explain why you would be on?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so like,
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll just do that.
Split them into
Yeah,
questions. Sorry about that.
Okay, something that I noticed in high school is being a part of like student government and like being like a class officer often meant that it was more so like a title, but I think here at Penn, you have like the actual like role of being able to create tangible change when you're in student government. You actually get to push the needle, like we always say in meetings. With these admin, you get to directly see them face to face and communicate with them and say like your due diligence, like, and if you're very like equipped with like the knowledge that you need, you are able to like convince them of supporting you. So I think that's one of the reasons why I want to be on the UA. Or why I want to continue being on the UA. And additionally, I think like I joined the UA simply because like when I got here to Penn, like, and when I was in high school, I struggled with my own identity, and being able to become that representation that I sought after is something that motivates me to be in this chair today. I may be having like a shaky voice, I may be like nervous, but even being uncomfortable in the situation allows more doors to open for people who resonate with my story and my identity. So that is why I want to be in student government. I want to represent the people whose voices shake.
So
But yeah, I think my freshman year has definitely been shaped by this idea of like the Penn bureaucracy and things just are the way they are. It's an old institution, things don't change, you can't, make any action as a student. Obviously, right now, we're seeing even in terms of open expression, there's not a lot of protesting, there's not a lot of pushing back on the administration for what students actually want to see. I think that's very harmful at an institution that, wants to grow leaders who like push the status quo in the world beyond Penn. So I think being in a place where like we sort of operate as a policy think tank in a cool way, where we're thinking about like what's wrong with the school, what we can actually do to fix it, and then actually like consistently meeting with admin, pushing, emailing, just being a part of that has been like super empowering for me. And then also for students, just showing them that like it's possible to change things. Things don't always just have to stay the same way because that's like how they've been. And I think honestly, this is also a really great community of upperclassmen who like have done that project work, have worked with admin, have been doing really cool things for years, and it's a really cool thing to be a part of and a great place to learn from others about how Penn works and what you can do.
Yeah, I think in terms of the role of secretary, like especially through like taking the minutes and through writing the minute end of session reports, I think that those are like the main ways that we show students what we're doing and show students how much we've accomplished and how we're advocating for them. I don't think that there's any other form that shows students exactly what we've been working on and exactly how we've been working on it. So I think that that's a very secretary specific role that is very important, in especially like also this year with, oh, sorry, it was their second, sorry.
No, you're okay, you're so okay. You had a second part of your question?
The secretary part was the secretary, like that's what I asked, like so that they could separate them, that they could answer, because I don't think any of them will be able to answer like why they want to.
So you're just asking them why they would be secretaries?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Okay, I'll start.
To answer the question of like why secretary, in my speech I covered that I'm kind of like identifies issues and likes to leave an organization changing it. Like I don't want to leave it stagnant. And I think like the role of secretary like is one where you can create this change, like being able to see like what can be improved and further like push for like the 54th session. And then more broadly in general, being a part of exec means that you are able to kind of like carry on this precedent set in the 53rd session, and something that Mo, Musab, and everyone has covered here is holding ICE accountable, and it's something that is very prevalent and is a very heavy issue during this time especially, and it's something that I want to directly contribute to because it's something that I'm very passionate about. I think holding this institution accountable for having specific protocols of what to do if ICE ever is present on campus is something that needs to be addressed. I don't think it can continue being swept under the rug given the political context that we live in. I think it's something that a lot of students, regardless of identity, nationality, ethnicity, is something that they all worry about. So being a part of this like greater group is
Obviously, taking the minutes is something we've been talking about a lot, and for a lot of people, I feel like it seems like it's just like a task you have to complete. But I think for me, like I really love that opportunity to just like really deeply listen to what everyone in the room is contributing to every conversation. I feel like, you can learn a lot from the people in this room. We all have very different backgrounds, different lives pre-Penn and at Penn. And I think the opportunity to just really like pay attention to like every single thing that each one of you is saying would be really valuable. And then also, yeah, the opportunity to be on exec and learn from Mo and Musab and people who've done amazing work at the school so far, and be part of like the broader conversations about resolutions and how we effectively communicate our work to the student body, and then also carry out our projects to affect students in the best way possible. I think it would be great to be part of that large scale change within the UA as well.
Yeah, I also think that with airport shuttles in particular, like that's a way that we fund other projects. So I think that it's very, I'd be very grateful to contribute to helping to get more money for other projects in the UA, especially through airport shuttles. I also think that in terms of being on exec, like being in this role, I'm generally a very outgoing person. I'm also generally a very like outspoken person. And so being in this role, I would get to take a step back and just observe, which I would be very grateful for. And so I think that the role of secretary in general just is very helpful in helping the UA to keep pushing on other projects, as well as to show the student body exactly what we're doing.
And then adding on, I think like just continuing the precedent set by like all the other members on exec. Like I think with secretary, it's very task heavy, but it's just being able to push it forward for the next like group of incoming freshmen. I was like shown so much kindness and like I had a learning curve, like I didn't know everything in the UA, but I learned it because I was ambitious and because all of you guys were so accepting of my lack of knowledge. And I think it's something that I want to continue to carry over as acting secretary, just continuing to foster this community.
Any other questions?
We have about 4 minutes left. So nobody else has any questions? Yep.
Can you guys just say one good thing about, or like what they like about their candidate?
Okay, great. I have really liked the freshman community on the UA, but these two lovely people next to me. Alex, I feel like you're a very, emotionally open person. You really like share exactly how you feel, and I feel like for other people that makes them comfortable, like being honest and candid with themselves too. So I really appreciate how open you are and appreciative you are of everyone around you. Charmaine, you're so outspoken and so strong and just a great leader. I look up to you a lot. I feel like you're never afraid to share what you're thinking about, but also you're really passionate about making sure other people feel included in the conversation.
Yeah, one thing that I really admire about you, Sophie, is your multifacetedness. Like, I was looking through the UA directory and I saw you're in like 10 things. So I'm like, oh my god. I was just like, you're just so multifaceted and you're able to just do so much and handle so much and you're able to give everything your all. And I'm also really, really appreciative of how kind you are. You've always shown everyone kindness and also very welcoming. Alex, you have a very welcoming spirit as well. I've never felt anything but comfortable with you, and I think that you always treat everyone, even when you immediately meet them, as your friend, which I really, really appreciate.
And then I'll start with Sophie. I was like admiring like not to like jump on Charmaine as like thing, but like I was admiring like all the things that you were like involved in because I was someone who felt like I didn't know much at Penn, but like I feel like you have it all figured out and it feels like I like to call myself like an amalgamation of people. So like when I think of like what I want to become, I try to channel those people. And I think when I want to become someone who's successful, I think I want to be like you because you seem like you have it all down as a freshman. So it's like something that I like hope to accomplish one day. And then Charmaine, I just like I'm a very self-critical person. So like at the beginning of the session, you may have all noticed that I was like very shy, but like with you, like I felt like you were so like in my committee before I met you, I was like, this person's like too cool to be my friend. But it's like as we broke down those walls and like those barriers, like you became someone who like I'm so close to. Like I literally tell you about like all my hugs and stuff. Like I tell you about everything. I'm so happy that we all got to be in like a good committee, like and even greater like guys, like just like such a family. Like I'm just grateful that everyone is so welcoming.
Oh, that was.
Are you guys all?
Yeah.
Secretary committee. I'm so shocked. Okay, that was, you actually perfectly spoke for each of them 30 seconds. That's so cute. Okay. We are at the end of time for questions. Motions.
Motion to elapse.
Yeah. Yes, any second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, that gives majority. Okay, perfect. Okay.